Hello, it's Jo here from Minerva. I'd like to show you today a few methods for adding a neckband, which is always tricky, and also for adding cuffs as well, using a special ribbing fabric. The pattern I'm wearing today is a Grainline Studio Linden sweatshirt, which has a raglan sleeve. So that's the sleeve that goes from the arm up to the centre so that you don't have a seam on your shoulder. And the one that I'm going to show you today that I'm cut out already is the Billie sweatshirt. It does just show a dress here, but on the back, if I show you the design drawings, you'll see there's a sweatshirt here, and that's got set-in sleeves, so that's going to give a slightly different shoulder shape. So a little chat about the different fabrics you can get for sweatshirts. This one is a looped back Sweatshirt fabric, so you can see it's smooth on the back, but it's not very thick. But you can also get fur backed sweatshirt fabric. You can also get fleece backed sweatshirt fabric, but you need to read the fabric description on our website because they all have different amounts of stretch and stretch recovery in different ways. So this one has stretch going across the grain and this way, but not as much. So you need to make sure that when you're cutting, you get the biggest amount of stretch going in the width. If you don't, and I've done it on when I was first using jersey, I cut the sleeves on a different stretch, and then the sleeves are really tight and I've got no movement in the arm at all. So I've got the biggest amount of stretch going around my arm. You can also use the same fabric for your neck binding, but again, you've got to make sure that you cut your neck binding on the stretch, the biggest amount, or sometimes even on a bias, so you fold your fabric 45 degrees and then cut a strip, or you can buy special ribbing, which I'm going to show you today. The fabric I've cut for the Billie sweatshirt is this, which is a fleece backed fabric. It's got minimal amount of stretch in one direction, but much more stretch in the other direction. So I've had to make sure that when I cut it out, I've cut the pieces so that the stretch goes around. The cuffing is much more stretchy, and that's a very, very tight rib made on a machine. And we've got some really great combos. These two are the sweatshirt fabric and the cuffing, and that comes in a whopping 68 different colours. So there's the combination of sweatshirt fabric and ribbing in 68 different colours. I've obviously had matching, but you could have a sweatshirt with a different coloured ribbing or different band. There are some really nice examples on the website of people who've used those to great effect. This is how I store all my cutout items. I sometimes batch cut. So I've got my Tilly and the Buttons pattern, got my thread ready, matching thread, and I've cut my cuffing and neckband pieces, and then inside I've got the sweatshirt piece and the two sleeves, and I've made sure that I've cut the big stretch going across the arms and across the width of the fabric. The ribbing comes in a complete tube, so you can cut the side and open it out and cut your neckband. I'm just going to cut a complete tube slice off because I can show you the sizing a little bit easier. I'm going to use a rotary cutter to do that, just so that I get a really nice straight line. Because that as a neckband is way too big, but I know that by cutting the whole tube off, it keeps it nice and stable for when I'm cutting it. And then I will be folding that in half, and that is going to be my neckband, and it's got a really good stretch. A neckband needs to be 10% smaller than the actual neck hole. So if you look at your neck hole and you measure around here, then your neckband needs to be 10% less than that. On most patterns you'll get a neckband pattern piece, so you don't need to worry so much about the maths, but here's the maths in case you need it. So my neckband hole was 47 centimetres. 10% of 47 is 4.7. So I take away that 10% that I don't want away from my neck hole, and I get 42.3 centimetres. And then I need to add a little bit of seam allowance because I'm using my serger. So I've got 42.8. That's allowing for that serger edge. So I need to cut my neckband at 43. I've just rounded it up there. So my neckband needs to be 43 centimetres, and that's going to go into a neck hole that's 47. So you can see that the neck has got to stretch a bit to fit into the hole, but that's what you need. And I'll show you why. This is a different style of neckband, but it's illustrating what I want to show you, which is if your neckband is too small, you will get all of these little puckers because your neckband is trying to gather in the neck hole and make it fit. So you get all of these little puckers around here. I still wear this top because I love it, but it's pulling a little bit around the back. The other problem you might have is that your neckband is gaping forwards and looking slightly frilly around your neck, and that is when your neck binding strip is too long. Okay, let's go through the stages of putting on a neckband. So you first of all attach the shoulder seams. I'm just overlocking my sweatshirt together today, but you can make sure that you use the right shoulder seams and seam allowances to get the right fit. And then you join the neckband into a circle using the seam allowance that you allowed if you made a calculation. And then a little tip which is very useful because it helps the thicker fabric lie flat on your neckband is to find the center point of your neckband and do a little snip down to your seam line, not through the stitches of course, but just down so that you've got a little gap. And that means now when we fold it in half to make the neckband, we can split the difference a little bit of thickness. So if all the thickness was on one side, when we fold it in half, we've got all the thickness on here and nothing on this side. So this is all thin and this is a really thick lump. So if you cut a little split in the middle and now fold it in half, you'll have a much flatter band there. Okay, I'm just going to pin that to make sure that doesn't come undone. So now I've split that seam allowance, so my sewing machine should go over there much better. The next thing to do is to quarter the neckband. So that's where you find the 4/4 of the neckband by putting a pin in to show where it is. And that will help you to get an even stretch around your top. So there we are, that's half and half, and now I'm going to do it again. Fold it in half to find the other quarters. Obviously you're going to have your front band, it dips a little bit lower than your back band, so there'll be a little bit of an adjustment to make, but we just want some sort of ballpark markers to help us to find a bit for the back and a bit for the front. I'll show you how to pin that on next. I have pinned the 4/4 on, and now what I'm attempting to do is to, this is the sweatshirt on this side, this is the sweatshirt, and this is the neckband, and you can see that that is shorter than that piece we've got to put in. So we're going to give it some tension and then pin it, and that's why it's important that the stretch you apply is even all the way around, not just in one place. I'm going to pin that on. and I'm going to go to the next place. This is the front, so I'm going to do that and put another pin in. So I'm going to keep pinning all the way around until I've got the stretch amount even, not just in one place. And then we're going to sew around. I'm going to use an overlocker, but you could easily use a sewing machine. It's not a problem because the fleece back sweatshirt doesn't fray very much anyway. So you could also zigzag the edges if you wanted to. I'm going to keep pinning. And that, my sewing friends, is how you put the neck binding on. So you have right side to right side and you sew it on, and then when you flip it back you've got that neat finish. And also you can see where it's pulled the neckline in a little bit, but that's not been pressed yet, but it's not puckering like that sweatshirt that I showed you before. This is the back. It's obviously wanting to flip out because I haven't top stitched. So your final stage is to add a top stitching right along the edge. You could use a twin, you could use a twin needle one. I haven't used a seam allowance big enough for a twin needle. I just want a single row of stitching around there. Also, I use just a normal straight stitch to put that on, but depending on how stretchy your fabric is, you might need a stretch stitch to put that on. But I know that goes over the person's head I'm making it for, and I'm still getting plenty of stretch even with a straight stitch. But if I wasn't, then I might need to add my neck binding with a straight stitch or a stretch stitch. Okay, so to add cuffs and a waistband, everything you've just learned about making a neckband is exactly the same. So you sew the short edges together, you make the little snip halfway so that when you fold the cuffs in half to make your wrist cuff, you can flip the one seam allowance one way and the one seam allowance the other way, and that will reduce the bulk and help your sewing machine to flip over. So one cuff, you'll know when you've got it hanging right because you won't have a twist in it, and you're going to put that on your sleeve. And the same for the waistband, it's sewn down the sides, it's got the split. I'm going to fold it out in half, split the seam difference, and I'm going to quarter this one the same as I quartered the neckband, so that I know that I've got an even spread of pulling the waistband in at the bottom of the top, because the top will be bigger than the waistband, and you'll be using the same method that you use for the neckband, where you're trying to get a smaller circumference into a bigger one. So then you've got your waistband to go on the bottom. The cuffs can be the most difficult because you're going around such a really small circumference. So I really recommend that you put your pins so they're not scratching and catching you. So there's the glass head bit touching me instead of the point. And I'm going to sew with the wrong side out. So I've got the wrong side out, you can see the fleecy bit. And then I'm going to sew inside the cuff. And that way I'm moving that circle round. All of my foot and everything has got room to move in that space. If you try and do it the other way, you sometimes end up catching another part of the cuff or catching the sleeve in it. So it's really useful to have it wrong side out and sew inside the cuff. If you are in any doubt that you can get your sewing machine around a cuff, then look at this little teeny weeny one. And I use this on the sewing machine, and the neckband is applied in exactly the same way with a straight stitch, stretch stitch on the machine, and then an overlocked edge to keep it down. And the cuffs were absolutely minuscule, you know, the length of my index finger, but they were still sewn on the machine. But you definitely, the smaller your cuff, and even just to make cuffing easier, you need to have your foot on the inside, sewing around the inside. If you try and stretch it under your sewing machine foot, it won't work. So you can definitely do it, because if I can do these teeny weeny tiny things, you can definitely get it under your machine if you're making a cuff on a Billie shirt. These are prim cuffs, because at the time I wanted something navy that matched the navy in this loop back fabric, but they're just the same. They come in a little packet and you snip a piece off and it's a ribbed section and you put it in. So there's lots and lots to choose from. And once you can put a neck binding in, it gives you so much more confidence, because you can make children's wear, you can make sweatshirts, you can make t-shirts, and you don't get that puckered neck or that neck that's sagging forward. So it's a really, really good skill to learn. This is the sweatshirt finished. So you've got your cuff in there, it's not overstretched, and then inside it's overlocked, but you could just have easily zigzag there if you wanted to. You've got the waistband on as well, and you can see how that has pulled in some of the waist. So the waistband piece was definitely smaller than the sweatshirt piece, but I quartered it and did the same technique. And then of course we had the neckband with the top stitching that we showed at the beginning. So it's the same technique for all of the parts of adding cuffs, neckband and waistband. I hope you've enjoyed it today. Thank you for watching. I hope you've learned something new, something for you to take away and try and really improve on.